Good news you can use with that Mahone, yeah. She got the good news you can use. Good news you can use for your life.
Hello, and welcome again to this edition of the Boomer Beat with your host, Beverly Mahone. As you know, April is Financial Literacy Month, and I have dedicated all of these podcasts to you to talk about your finances and how you prepare for retirement, because you need to start doing it now because retirement is just around the corner. And joining me today is another financial expert to talk to us not only about retirement planning, but how to raise that credit score. She is a financial advisor, and I'm going to let her tell you more about her credentials, but let me just go ahead and introduce her to you. She is Terrell Dinkins. Hey, Terrell, how are you?
Hi, Beverly. Thank you so much for allowing me to come on Boomer Beat. This is such a cool name, Boomer Beat.
Absolutely. All right. So you are a financial advisor out of Atlanta. So tell us what a financial advisor does for those of us who may not really understand what that means.
So I do more planning work. I help people, and this is probably the easiest way to describe what I do. I help people create their own financial roadmaps. And when we think about retirement, how do I get where am I right now? And how do I get where I want to be for retirement? So I help them create their financial roadmap. And in that roadmap, I cover 7 different areas. I look at your general cash flow, because with good cash flow, you're able to increase your assets and lower your liabilities, ultimately creating higher net worth. I look at retirement planning, your education funding, taxes, investments, that middle investment bucket, risk management, and also any type of estate planning. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I look to make sure you have all those things in place. And on top of the planning aspect of what I do, because I write these financial roadmaps or financial plans, I also manage money. So I manage people who have made a decision that they are, I've got some disposable income. I'm ready to start putting my money away and making it work for myself. So I also manage money as well.
All right, very good. Well, let's jump right into the fire here.
Okay.
How much money, how will we know how much money we need to retire? Is there a formula out there? Is it one size fits all? Will my husband need more money than me? Will I need more money than my girlfriend? How do we know?
So you have to ask yourself, how do I want my retirement to look? You first need to start and figure out, what do I want that to look like? If I want my retirement to look like my lifestyle now, then I probably need to be saving up enough money for that money to last me. And the kicker is, you want your money to outlive you, and you don't want to outlive that money. So we really need to typically think about having enough money to last us for about 30 years. Because when you think about people, especially with women, longevity can be that blessing and a curse. The blessing is, we live a long life, and the curse is we live a long life, but we're not properly prepared financially to live that long life in, up to the age of 100. So you have to first look at, how do I want that to look like? What kind of fixed money am I going to get if I'm going to have a pension plan, if I'm going to be able to get Social Security, and then couple that with what you already have. And will that money last me for 30 years, especially if we're retiring in our 60s? Then we want to make sure that we have enough money to last us to a 90 or 100 years of age. And one of the biggest mistakes we see is that people think that when I get retirement, oh, I'm not going to do as much. Well, think about retirement is just like being on vacation 365 days.
That's correct. Now, let me ask this question for married couples.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm married, and my husband he's going to, have his plan. Do I need to even really be concerned about having my own retirement money beyond my Social Security, or can I just rely on my husband?
Absolutely, you need to be concerned. You know, in my first book, I have a section called "A Man Is Not a Plan," and I don't say that to minimize a person's marriage. I've been married for 24. We just celebrated our 24th wedding anniversary. I've been married 24 years. But we shouldn't rely on that. There are so many silver divorces. So what if you um make you've been married for 20 years. I know a couple who've been married for 30 years and they are now separated. Their daughter's out of the house and they are now about to go through a divorce. And they're going their separate ways. So we just don't know what happens. And now with COVID, the divorce rate, people are getting divorced because they realize, hey, I'm living with this person for a full year now, and I don't think I like this person. So your spouse should not be your plan, and you should have some things in place for yourself in the event that something happens.
That's good to know. Now let's talk about our children because they come with the handout sometimes.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And it doesn't go away.
And yes, sometimes it just doesn't go away. But then for those of us who may have children who are getting ready to go to college and are looking to mom and dad or just mom in order to help them foot the bill, what do you say about that? Is that something, when we know retirement is on the horizon and the children need to go to college, what's the priority?
Your priority is your retirement. So always say, who's gonna help you save for retirement? No one, you. But when it comes to college, there are so many different options out there for young adults to go to college. They have you can get scholarships. You can get a loan for school. So there, and it depending on your income, there may be grants available, but no one's going to prepare for your retirement. So I tell anyone, do not sacrifice your retirement. Do not pull money out of your 401k, 403b plans to send your child off to college. No, they will have to figure out other ways to come up with that money, but definitely don't sacrifice your retirement. Because here's the thing, when you take that money out, you can't make it up. Most of the time, people that have put money away, have been saving for retirement, have been doing it for a long time. So they may have gotten things at a cheaper price, and you just can never make up the lost income or the lost gains in your retirement when you take it out in lump sums to send someone off to college. And when it comes to kids anyway, a lot of times they still don't know what they want. They'll go their first year and realize, hey, this is not for me. And you will have sacrificed and taken money out of your retirement for someone who really doesn't know what they want to do. So no, you are a priority. Your retirement is a priority over college.
Okay, that's good to know as well. Let's talk about.
And I hope that didn't sound cold.
No, it didn't. I mean, because here's the reality, Terrell.
Yeah.
Some people need the hardcore. They need the hardcore reality checks.
And I am such a straight shooter when it comes to that.
And I am too. So you are on the right program for both of us to just tell it like it really is.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So then let's talk about savings up to this point. So let's just say that, well, my employer offered a 401k, but up until now, I just needed that money. I just couldn't find myself, force myself to put that money into the plan because I had other things I really needed to do with it. What do you say to those people? Is it too late if you're in your late 50s, early 60s, and you're still working? There is a 401k plan, but you don't have one. Is it too late at this point?
So it's never too late to start building wealth. However, it may be too late for you to fulfill that plan of, oh, I'm going to retire at the age of 60 when I just started planning for retirement at the age of 50. So it may be too late for you to fulfill that dream of not working to go into retirement at 60, 65 because you waited too late to start planning. Also, too, you have to work so much harder. You got to put away so much more if you wait late. Recently I spoke to a group and I had an illustration of of someone who waited until they were did an illustration of a 25-year-old and a 45-year-old who decided to wait. The 25-year-old who puts away $400 or $500 per month, by the time they get 65 years old, they could be a millionaire with an average rate of return of about 8%. The 45-year-old who puts away a little bit more, but they're 20 years behind that 25-year-old, they don't reach millionaire status. So it's to our best interest to try to talk to people when they're young, or when you first go on that job, to realize, or go to the HR department and find out, do they have a 401k plan? Does the company have any matching, that if I put in a percentage, will they match that? Because matching is free money. So no, it's not too late, but it may be too late for you to have that dream that you thought about, oh, I'm going to stop working when I'm such and such years old, when I'm 65. I had a potential client. I spoke to someone just the other day whose goal was, I want to start working at 50. But everything is all relative. Well, you can't stop working at 50 if you still have a mortgage, if you have a spouse who may not be contributing to the household financially, if you have, close to, $500,000 in student loan debt. And yeah, you have money in your retirement, but will that vision of what you thought, will it be what's in your mind if you have that much debt still sitting on the table?
If you have a little extra money just kind of lying around, would you advise investing in the stock market?
So here's what I do when I have a little extra money. I apply what I call the SID approach. SID stands for spend a little, save a little, invest a little, and then apply it to debt. SSID. So I think there's a priority. And when you put money in the stock market, what you're saying to yourself is, I'm going to take on a little bit of risk, and if I lose it, I'm okay. Because anytime you put something in, there's a possibility that you could lose it. So I always say, do I have debt? If I have this money, and I do believe that people need to have balance, because I think if you are saving everything, or if you're putting, paying down your debt with everything, you're just not going to have balance, and you're going to fall off the wagon, and you'll be back in the same place again. So if it's if you got a lot of debt, and that your little bit of money is not gonna put a dent in it, then I would say divide it up. Put a little bit on your debt, put a little bit into your emergency savings account, and spend a little and put some away in the stock market. I think right now, with all the technology tools that we have, everyone should be investing. Everyone should be investing.
And we'll just briefly share this with you. So my husband and I had a little bit of a windfall, not much. And we decided, why don't we just put some money in the stock market? I have some financial knowledge, not a lot that I would say I'm an expert. So now we're watching the bear in the markets. Yes, it's dropping.
Yes. And so that's what I mean, is that it's a bear right now. It dropped.
So you have to so I believe you have to, be willing to ride out the storm. If that's money you can't afford to invest in over a long period of time, then it's probably not the wisest move. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with that. And that's what I mean by, you got to make a choice. If you don't have to me, I always say, what sense does it make to put money at risk when you don't have an emergency fund? What sense does it make to risk it when you don't have an emergency fund over here? And I have never, when I think about, I've put away a little, I've been doing this for a while. I've been investing since I was in my 20s. So I feel comfortable with my future. But when I think about how I built that, Beverly, it wasn't through some big windfall. It was systematically, on a regular basis, putting money away every single month. Every single month I put something away. Whenever I get, came into a windfall like you and your husband, I would put that money towards some investing. I would think about the debt, because I believe debt is our downfall. So I don't like walking around carrying debt. So I kind of put that as a priority. I'm one of those people, I don't sleep well at night knowing that I have the debt over my head.
Well, I felt that way too until I was able to clear a lot of it off, and so now I can breathe, and it is a good feeling.
It's a great feeling.
It's a really good feeling. Let's talk about the credit score, because that has a lot to do with debt too.
Yes.
So we get to a certain age, and then all of a sudden we realize, wow, our credit score really isn't that good. And I don't even know how many older adults really even know what their credit scores are.
Mhm.
We just started looking at it because we were going through a refinancing process.
Mhm.
And then I realized my credit score is really that low. Oh my, I just didn't know. I didn't bother to check. So if you're dealing with a low credit score, and I know you've got that awesome book about being a part of the 800 Club, of which I'm not even close, how do you go about repairing that when you're in your 50s and 60s? Can you really do it?
Yeah, yes, you can. So here's the thing, you and I really do. I go from point A to point Z. I give you the step by steps. And I know a lot of older people who, back in the day, you saved up for everything. You saved up cash for everything. But we are living in a society where your 3 digits are just as important as your 9 digit social security number. You really need to work on those 3 digits because the wealth gap is real. And when people have poor credit, they spend more money than people who are unicorns like myself, who have those 800 plus credit scores. So yeah, so when you're starting from the beginning, you have to actually take those beginning steps like someone who is just starting out. And it may be that you get a secured credit card and a secure credit card means that you are only charging what is available to you, secured, like with a bank, your savings or checking account. So banks will give you secured credit cards and they tie money to it. So you can only use what is available in that account for that secure credit card. So you take baby steps just like anyone else would, in getting something secured and then working your way to getting a credit card. And the credit cards are easier to get than, say, the loans. Or you get someone to make you an authorized user on their credit card. And that's something that I literally just did for my son, who he's 20, and I probably should have done it earlier, but we were able to get him a student credit card first. So and I made him go to the bank because he had a banking relationship. And it starts too, I think, with your bank. If you have a good banking relationship, I would always start with my bank. I have a great relationship with you. Can you give me a credit card? So you take those baby steps first there through your banking institution because you have a relationship there. So one of the things that I did with my son was as a mom, I created a banking relationship for them when they were young. And then also when he went off to school, because I had a great banking relationship with a large institution, I went in with him together and we opened up a student account. So he opened up a student checking account. And I said, now that you have that student checking account, I want you to go there and apply for a student credit card. So the person who is in their 50s may have to start all over again and take those baby steps, starting first with their banking institution and creating and utilizing the relationship that they have with that banking institution to establish the credit.
Realistically speaking, how quickly can you get to an 800 plus credit score if your credit score is somewhere in the high range of 600 to low 700s? How
it can happen fast, and I have a couple little dirty tricks in there, but there are, so when you look at the makeup of your credit score, your credit history is important. So when you think about people that are unicorns that have these 800 credit scores, they've been working on their credit for years. They have been working on their credit for years. They never closed out credit cards. So you remember a long time ago, people, they get a credit card and they're like, I'm going to do better. So they take the cards, they call up the credit companies and they say, close them out.
Right.
Well, we know now that that's something that you don't do. So if you're starting from the beginning, yeah, it's going to take you a while because you have that big pie, your credit history, your utilization rate, and the length of history. So that's why you need to start early. Now, for that person who is in the 700 range, who has long history, then you can change that credit score really fast, starting with making your payments on time, working on that utilization rate and clearing up that myth that, it's about 30%. Typically, when you hear these seminars, people say, oh, get your utilization rate. And I'll back up and explain what that means. Your utilization rate just means how much of your credit are you using. So say hypothetically, and this is an easy math formula, you have a $2,000 limit on a credit card and you use $1,000, that means that your utilization rate is 50%. So you're using 50% of that. And you'll have a lot of people that say, oh, well, do 30%. Well, that'll keep you, that will just kind of keep you where you are. It'll raise up your score if you go from 50% to 30%. But people that are unicorns that have these high credit scores, their utilization rate, meaning that they're only using less than 10% of what's available to them. So a person that has a $2,000 credit limit, a unicorn may only use $200. So they're really basically using the credit card companies. And I'll use myself as an example.
Okay. I like that strategy.
I'm using you. And here's the thing. So credit card companies make their money two ways. They make it off me when I use my credit card and I don't pay my bill in full. So they're now making interest.
Yes.
They also make it off of the merchant. So when I swipe my credit card, the merchant who accepts my card has to pay a fee for taking that card. Those are merchant fees. So they're making it two ways. But for people like me who pay their credit card bills in full each month, now it's only a one-way street. They're only making money on the other end. They're not making it through me. So because they're not making money through me because I'm paying that bill in full each month, I'm not paying interest. I don't know when I had paid interest on a credit card. Now what they're doing is that they're going to send me offers. They're like, man, we really need to entice this person to keep a balance on this credit card. So what we're going to do is we're going to send her an offer of 0% interest rate. So now my credit score and my credit history, my paying history dictates the type of mail that's coming to my mailbox. Now they're sending me these offers with a 0% interest rate in hopes that I will be a little bit more lax in how I pay and forget and leave a balance on there. So now they're making money through me.
I can't tell you the number of times I've left or not left a balance, because I normally, if I get the bill, I pay it off. Right. I don't hesitate. But I can't tell you the number of times I've just forgotten. And then I get the bill the next month and I'm what?
Now it's interest.
Now it's interest, and it's not just a couple of dollars. Now there's like $20 and $30. And I'm saying, well, when did this happen? So yeah, you have to be mindful of that. Let me ask you this, Terrell. How often should we be monitoring our credit reports?
So I look at my credit report every month. So I think everyone, and again, I go into details in that book. Everyone should subscribe to like a Credit Karma, because a lot of those, the credit bureaus own some of these companies. I think TransUnion owns Credit Karma. And then you have things called Score Sense that will give you all of your credit scores, but they may charge a fee for. So things like Credit Karma, Credit Sesames, they're free. Your banking institutions will allow you to check your credit score. And I look at those things every month. And what I like about Credit Karma is they will send me a reminder if my credit score has changed. They will say, hey, your credit score changed this month. And of course, I'm like, I want to go and look, because us unicorns, we're obsessed with our credit score. We want to see what happened. So I look at mine every month. Everyone may not be as obsessive as I am, but if you're trying to raise that credit score, then you want to look at it. I would look at it monthly and see what kind of patterns are triggering my score to go up and down. It's a game with us unicorns. We're always constantly trying to figure out, how can I get it to go higher? And there's a chapter in my book, and I won't reveal it. I want your listeners to go pick up the book.
Absolutely.
There's chapter 8 is called The Dirty Little Secret. And it really is a dirty little secret of how you can push that score up.
Okay, and I do want to talk about your book in the few minutes that we have left here, but let me ask this question.
Mhm.
How important is it, if you're married, that your scores be aligned with each other? So, like, I think my husband's a unicorn, just based on what you've said. Oh my God, yes, he is totally a unicorn. But how important is it, like, so if one person has like an 800 and the other person has like a 500, can that balance itself out at some point?
So here's the thing. It depends. It depends on how you run your households. So if you are running your households where you all have joint accounts, or you buying things jointly, then yeah, you want them aligned. But if you have a household where, honey, you take care of your finances and I take care of mine, because people operate that way. I've been married 24 years. We don't argue about money, because I told him, make sure you're preparing for your retirement. And he told me, okay, you make sure you're preparing for your retirement. So we don't have the arguments when it comes to that. And he's responsible for his credit. So it depends on what you all are trying to do together. If you know that, hey, we are going to go out and refinance our house, or we're going to go buy a new house, then that's when you want to make sure things are aligned.
Yes. Yes.
That's when you want to make sure things are aligned.
All
Because
right.
here's the thing, people can be resentful, Beverly, if one person has to always be the one getting things for the house, as opposed to, because the other person is being irresponsible with their spending habits. People can become resentful in a marriage when everything's always riding on one person, because money will break up a marriage.
Yes.
And people, after a while, they get tired. Why is it always me? Why does everything have to be in my name? Because you are not being responsible with your spending, and your credit is poor. So I have to put everything in my name.
Yes.
I have to put everything in my name. And then when the marriage breaks up, that one person who was, they were the good person, they kept their credit intact, they put everything in their name. Now they're stuck with all the debt.
Yep, that's kind of how it works. All right, so let's talk about where we can get your books. I know you had the one bucket at a time. We didn't quite get to that, but I'll have to have you come back so we can really dig deeper into that and focus more just on women and wealth and saving, etc. But let's talk about where you can get your book, a copy of your book.
Oh, great. Oh, so thank you so much for asking me. So my new book is Secrets of the 800 Plus Club, How to Raise Your Credit Score, Maintain Good Credit, and Live the Life of Unicorns. And we talked a little about those unicorns. You can find my book on my website at onebucketnation.com, or you can also go to Amazon, which is now an Amazon bestseller, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's in an ebook form, so you can go to your Apple ebook or the Kindle. So it is available everywhere.
Awesome, and we'll make sure that we put that up on the screen at the end of the program. Any closing thoughts that we need to know, we should know about retirement, about saving, or anything else you think is relevant?
No, I want to say this. I want everyone to think of, especially, we're about to close out the month of April, which is Financial Literacy Month. I want everyone to ask themselves, what am I doing to help close the wealth gap? What am I personally doing for myself to help close this wealth gap? Am I putting money away for savings? Am I investing? Am I working on my credit? Those are all of the things that we can do to help close this wealth gap and do things in order so that we can pass it down to the next generation.
All right, awesome. And I ain't mad at you about that pink and green because I knew you were going to do that. So I wore my red. I just want you to know.
You know what? But to be honest, Beverly, so people thought that my first book was about AKA. It really isn't. My publisher, I told him, I said, I want the book to appeal to women. So we came up with fuchsia. The red and the white makes fuchsia. And of course, the green was for money. So.
Of course, absolutely.
There we go.
Anyway, thank you so much, Terrell, for being a part of Financial Literacy Month and educating our listeners and viewers on the importance of saving for retirement. All right,
Beverly.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Boomer Beat. Thank you so much. And remember this, stay empowered along your journey. See ya.
Good news you can use for your life.